right. All right, everybody. We got some great stuff for you tonight. Some great content to share with you. So I'm going to share it with a few groups here while I'm sitting here at my desk, and hopefully we get some people jumping on and joining us soon. Hope you guys have had a great week so far. We got some great content we're going to talk about tonight, and I'm going to introduce the first part of it here. I got to upload a video here. We've got to remove a source. You got to add a source, and it makes you do this and all this other stuff to be able to, Oh, that's not the source we want. No, that's not what we want. Let's try this again. Local video. There we go. And here it is. Scott here is the sole proprietor of
Rockers Room Music Cafe in Forest.
And tell us a little bit about your operation here.
I was looking to find a place to play music and have people come and play because there was nowhere to play as far as I was concerned, and there was a lot of great musicians in town. I did some work for the high school playing in some of their musicals, and I met these really great players that far outplayed me, and
right.
And these guys were schooled and they could read on the fly, and I'm not that guy.
But you played music for a long time, right?
Yes, I have my whole life.
So it's been a passion of yours for a lifetime?
Absolutely. I'm 61 and it won't go away.
Very cool. Cool. So we're in Forest, Ontario. We're across the street from the Kiwanis Theatre. It used to be called the Canetto Theatre.
Yep.
And they do live events there as well.
They do.
But you've got this cool music cafe going on here, and you're trying to get other musicians in the area to network.
Exactly. That's what it's about. And I hooked up with this cat, Mike Murphy, who's a local guy who plays and he's connected with everybody. And he's the one who said, oh, we can make this work, because I opened it up to play music, but there's no money in it. So
right.
I decided to make sandwiches and stuff like that. And
right.
So that's bringing the people during the day. And now we're trying to draw as many people at night as we can.
And you make killer espressos and lattes and,
yeah, man,
and all that stuff. You become really a great barista as well.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, it's good. People like it. They have great reviews, and the food is fun, and it's easy and cheap. And
right, and you have local businesses who patronize your establishment as well.
That's right. Yeah, and they just love the breezeway. And they come in. We got people almost every day between 12 and 1:30.
Right.
And they just sing and play, and the people just come in and they eat it up, and they sing and they dance along with the bands.
Right. And the locals know you as Scott.
Yeah, that's Scott. Yep.
And you share your last name with them?
Yeah, McCullough. My name is Scott McCullough.
Yeah. And you're originally from Quebec.
Yeah, I'm from Montreal originally.
Okay, and you were involved in the Montreal music scene as well.
I played in a bunch of bands out of Montreal and went to Toronto and did some stuff there. Toronto didn't work as much as I would like. It
right.
was a little colder than I thought, but Montreal was great. And when that came to an end, I came to Toronto, met my late wife, and came here and opened this place.
And you're not originally from this area at all?
No, not even close.
But you've become a local staple.
Yeah. I love to feed people, and if they can come and hear me sing and squawk, right. Then bring it on. You know?
So you can come here to the Rockers Room Music Cafe, and you can feed your body and you can feed your soul at the same time.
Yeah, and the price is right.
And the price is right.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. You make specialty sandwiches.
Yes, we do.
Including submarine sandwiches.
Yeah, all kinds of subs and great Montreal smoked meat and dynamite turkey and like all authentic high-end deli stuff.
Okay.
So you won't.
And is there anything specific you want people to know about your establishment?
Yeah, we're 10 minutes from the beaches, and so if you want to come to the beach, come sing here, come play here, come eat here, and hit the beach.
And you're a 10-minute drive north off the 402.
Yep.
So if people are coming from London or from Sarnia, they can get here pretty quick.
Absolutely.
I think we got here in about a little over half an hour,
yep.
So it was a pretty great drive. So this is the Rockers Room Music Cafe. I'm just going to do a quick. And tonight we've got an open mic going on in here with a bunch of locals. What a great place to hang out.
Much. Excellent, Ken. We appreciate you coming.
Thanks for
my pleasure.
giving the interview.
Yeah, it's great.
Appreciate
it. Me too.
Thanks,
man.
Scott.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, and you too.
Hey, what do you think of that, my friend?
It's very cool. I just had somebody talking about a songwriter circle thing. It's a great idea. Um, and this whole thing about if there's no gigs, kind of creating gigs, that just sort of seems to be what needs to be done in certain places now, right? So I think
Right.
it's a great idea.
I mean, what a great concept, eh? So one of the things that I was talking with you before the show about was this idea of creating these opportunities for live events, and maybe Rockers Room Cafe is one of these opportunities waiting for a place to happen.
Yeah, I had a conversation today with a couple people about just the state of. So here's the analogy I use. People will, if anybody's watching from Halifax, I know exactly what I'm talking about. So our junior hockey team plays right downtown. So you pay $12 to $15 for parking. You burn $20 in gas. You go out and eat. It's $50. You go and have a couple beer at the game. It's another $30. So you're spending maybe $100 to go watch a major junior game. And then people complain about spending $12 to go see a band at a bar, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. And so, you do have to get creative, right? And unfortunately, you sometimes have to meet the audience where they want to be met. And I think it's, a great idea.
Yeah, I think the idea of maybe live music's future is in sort of cafe style stuff, but perhaps with a bar, and where the club and the band could split on the bar and the food, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because I talk to people all over the place. Oh, look at this! I have a kiss patch that wound up there. I don't know how that had rock and roll over. Um, And especially out here, people are like, we don't want to do ticketed events. Like basically, they want a guarantee. Um, but some people that I talk to, they want the venue to assume all the risk. So it's kind of like venue takes the risk. We don't want to take any of the risk, but we want everything to go our way in terms of money and whatever. And it's not super logical. I mean, like who does that? I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I love playing, but it's not a bar isn't set up for a place for me to play. It's set up to make money, and if you're not making money, it's going to be pretty tough.
That's right. And so everybody's got to come away with something, but I think there's an opportunity here to have for everybody to have a little skin in the game, you know?
Well, and I mean that's what it comes down to, right? Is that sorry? I'm finding all these kiss decals all over the place. I don't know what's happening. People accuse me of putting too much kiss in their feed, and I just say whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be skin in the game, and it's really funny because like so many places that I talk to and people that I talk to in the states are they're buying on tours and they're buying on shows and and they're having to promote, sell merch, and do all this stuff. Um, and I talk to people here locally in my backyard. I'd never do that. Okay, so um, I guess it comes down to what do you want to be and who are you.
Yeah, I mean, I've opened up the chat room, so if you're online and you've got some points you want to make or questions you want to ask, we'll do endeavor to answer them or entertain them.
Yeah.
Um, I think that this idea of everybody having some skin in the game is a great way to go, and if we want to revive, live music, because let's face it, I mean, sometimes it's something you've got to get people out to, right?
Yep.
And you've got to make it something more than just, hey, I want to go out and listen to some music. Maybe it becomes some sort of a social event. You know, there.
Well,
I mean, you think
there,
about it. The people that come out to your shows, they're not there just to see the band. They're there to socialize too, right?
there's many layers, right? I
Yeah.
mean, here's a really funny one. A meme today that I saw. The music is great, but they were wearing cargo shorts. Right? There's many different layers. Here's what you need to know about the state of the world in terms of social media and whatever. The Hokta girl, who had no idea who she was until last Friday, uh, is reportedly in talks for her own reality TV show. So won't that be great? But
Yeah.
that's all
Save
you
the
need to know
sandals.
about.
Save the sandals and the cargo shorts for the beach, right?
Well, I say this. I
That's the
say
part.
that you
That's the
need to
part.
know who you are and what you want to be. So it's like, if that's if that's acceptable to people, great. Um, but we played a show last weekend, and we have these lights. They look like flames, and we brought them in a show previous, and the manager of the bar was like, "You got to bring those in again," and people loved them. They ate them up because it's something different, right?
It's a visual, and it becomes part of the show, right? I mean, why not add something visual that adds something of value to the show, right?
Well, I mean, I grew up on this, and people get upset at me, and they make fun of me. But I mean, and this is just me. I would rather go watch a show than watch some guy up there tapping his foot and playing 1,000
You
notes. That's
help
just
put all
me.
their kids through school.
Not quite.
Hey, listen. While you're at it, so if you're wondering tonight, Sean's camera's on mirror, so that's why you're seeing things in reverse on his screen. So
Oh, I can fix that.
it's not the joint you just smoked before you came on.
Well, and here's 1,000 people in TV land going, "What the hell are you talking about, Ken?" They could care less. But anyway,
Here's an interesting comment. I like this one here, and I'm going to read it. It costs so much to get a promoter to get your music in radio. There are so many awesome indie bands out there that will never be heard by 99.9%
no,
of the
it
world.
does not. I don't want to sound like the guy that's on Instagram with the cigar. That's a myth.
All right.
That's a
So
myth.
so 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 let's dispel that myth. Okay, so you're saying that it costs so much to get a promoter to get your music in radio, that there are so many awesome indie bands. So tell me about that.
Well, so there's levels. You have to decide, okay? And I found this out. I had this conversation with somebody today. People go like, "Are you your know-it-all?" No, I'm a guy that listens to people that do know it all, and I'm a student, and I could never accuse myself of being the student in the past, but I've gotten into this. There's a lot of people that know how to do this properly. Where I think we get stuck in the weeds, especially in Canada, and I'll say this, is the grant system. And people think that if they can't get a grant, they're behind the eight ball and all that stuff. I can tell you personally, that's not the case. Am I gonna, spill all the beans right here, right now? No, I'm not. But I can tell you that you can do it um, with some help and minimal budget.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that the guy here at Indie Tunes Records has half a clue what he's doing.
Half. No, I'm just kidding. Well, but I mean, here's the thing is that I've come to find out, and
Because you searched me out, I didn't search you out.
well, my friend Greg Sinclair.
Huh.
So don't pat yourself on the back too hard there, sonny boy. Uh,
I'm not batting at all.
Warren Sin, we're using you guys, or we're working with you, and I talked to Greg, and I like what I was hearing, and you and I chatted. And I can I call you on your off time? I'd be happy to. Um, I I've gotten to know quite a few people in the last bit, networking and whatnot, and you know everything that pops up in a feed. And I can say this for a fact. If you're wondering about debt relief, 1,000 things are going to pop up about debt relief. If you're wondering about how to promote yourself, everybody that's a carny huckster that can give you a system for whatever is going to pop up. Um, and the simple fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people that know what they're doing that are willing to impart wisdom. Will they charge you? The good ones will, and be prepared to pay a little bit, but you don't have to pay an arm and a leg.
Huh? Maybe I should start charging.
No. I do very little. I say this. I do very little for free anymore, and I'll tell you why. Because um, I had a situation a couple weeks ago where somebody that I know went to somebody else that I know and asked them for help on social media, and I'm going like, that's exactly what I do. But that person saw me as the fun, free Facebook site and thought that somebody else that I knew could actually do more. And it's like, well, if you understand analytics, if you understand stuff, you made a mistake. So,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that there are so many different ways to get things done. For example, some people think, okay, we're going to shop my music out to radio and get all kinds of radio play and blah 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 blah, and it's going to do something. Then you look at the impact it's actually had on their digital sales, and a lot of times it's this.
Well, it's that anyway. I mean, like, I'm not going to beat
I
up on
know,
Spotify again, but
I know, but here's the thing: if you're going to give people content, you need something in return, and the something in return is for them sending traffic to where your music lives. Right?
yeah.
You're going to send your music out and give someone content for their show. Right? You're not asking for money. Right? You're not asking for money. What you're asking for is for that radio station to direct traffic back to where your music lives. And if your music lives on a website like ours, that could reflect in actual digital sales. Now we're not talking about 16th or a 32nd of a cent.
Yeah,
We're talking
here's the
about
challenge.
75. We're talking about 75 cents on a dollar.
Here's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group that I know in the States that has over 5,000 different radio stations. Every day they will post, this particular radio station has 20,000 followers, therefore you should at least have 5,000. Drop your
Yep.
socials in here. We will share them. We will send them back.
Yep.
They'll do that. But
Yep.
it's like getting followers and subscribers on YouTube. The people still have to go there and hit subscribe.
and they won't hit subscribe because most people just don't want to join.
Well, it's not that they don't want to. It's just the world is set up to have people do nothing, right? And again,
But it's too accessible.
well, it's if you look at everything that comes out now, it's like, how can we convince people to not leave their houses, sit in their chairs, not do anything, but have everything come to them? I mean, like, 15 years ago, could we order food through Uber and have it shown up? No, right? So
Right.
if you look at it, so that's the way that it's designed. So what you got to do is you got to kind of short circuit that and figure out ways to get people to want to help you. And I can tell you right now, it's not, um, it's not playing the card of, hey, you give me a hand, I'll give you a hand, because people don't care about that either. It's. I don't know if you saw the meme that I posted today, and a friend of mine shared it, and I got over 1,700 responses on it before noon. It says, "Musicians, no one cares. The universe doesn't care about that if your music does well. We are all alive on this planet for a short space of time, creating purposes for ourselves and telling ourselves that we're trying to achieve our dreams. So now you might be thinking, if it doesn't matter, then why should I even bother? Because it still matters to you. And whilst you have your time as a tiny speck in history, make the most of it before you can't. So who cares whether one person on Instagram didn't like your song, or who cares that your friends aren't supporting you with your music, or who cares about whether your parents think you should be doing it in life? Give it your all and go for it." And what happens is people get discouraged, they stop, right? And um, it's a big thing.
I have to tell you, there's different ways that we're striking momentum. You decided that you're going to look at marketing music a little bit different this time around on this past release when you're with us helping Michelle on that release.
Yeah.
We decided that we would go to YouTube.
Yep.
And push all our traffic there because the track there is encoded. And so we have the potential to earn revenue off that track, and it's got 14,000 views. It's a lyric video. It sits on our YouTube channel, and in 2 weeks, it's racked up 14,000 views,
which I'm totally impressed with.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. I mean, that's a good return on the investment of time. I mean, we have to upload it. We got to make sure that we've got a good backstory behind it, right?
Yep.
We could maybe even upgrade the backstory on the lyric video behind the song, maybe beef it up a little bit, because I might attract more people to listen to the song. Because have you been reading the comments?
I have been reading some of them, yeah.
But on all the stuff that we've been posting up on YouTube, I mean, we're getting more feedback about the music that our artists are releasing through our YouTube channel than we get really from anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so here, the thing is this. So my plan for that song was, because we did the full out video and it did well. I mean, 59,000 views or whatever the hell it was, which is great. The plan for this one was, okay, to hell with, the green logo guys, because you know what? They're just a lot of work. We're going to focus on YouTube, and it's doing great. And the plan was when it gets to a certain number, there'll be an actual performance video, which we're going to do, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Um, so, and that wasn't me sitting there going, okay, you know what? I'm really smart. No, no, no. I talked to a couple people who have done this, and they talk about manipulating the algorithms and those types of things so that when you do it, it gets it out into the netherworld and people start to pick up on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and here's an interesting thing. It released about that same time, June 28th, um, was a single by a band called Slant Six out in Edmonton, Alberta. They're also on the record label. And it's already racked up over 10,000 plays
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. And well, it won't be out officially 2 weeks until Friday. So when it hits that 10,000, right, there's a natural occurrence that happens in the music algorithms. When you hit 10,000 streams, all of a sudden your music starts getting seen by more people. Why is that?
Um, well,
Explain it. Explain it.
if everybody else jumped off the bridge, would you? Well, apparently the answer is yes. Right? Well, I mean, think about it. I'll give you an example. There's an artist that somebody brought to my attention. A friend of mine said, "Hey, you know what? We put this song out. We use these songwriters that are, basically the deck was stacked to impress people because songwriters are used from a certain area. It was a certain genre. So the preamble on the tune was going to be like, man, this thing's going to be a banger out of the gate." I think it's been out a week, and I think the last time I saw it, the views were not even hit. They haven't even hit 200 views yet.
Well, here's an interesting thing that we we talk about analytics, right? So this particular band that's already racked up over 10,000 streams of their song, right, has also got 1,721 followers who interact with their music.
Cool. Don't push it too hard, though. You'll get in trouble.
But here's the interesting thing: if we can grow that audience to 5,000 for every artist,
Yeah.
right? All you need is 5,000 dedicated people to be streaming and downloading your music. And
what you need is 1,000 dedicated people, which will lead to the rest. And that's,
well,
it sounds like a broken record. It really does. But
yeah.
everybody that I talk with, because I had somebody the other day, you come across as cocky and no. Please, that's not my point. My point is that I'm not book smart and book savvy enough to figure this stuff out myself. So I go to people who I've been told know what they're doing, and I ask them questions. They all talk about the first 1,000 subscribers, and it's the first 1,000 real subscribers. Because once you get those, it's like weeds in the garden, man. It goes out, and people catch on. And
we've seen the growth. We've seen the growth in our YouTube channel. Since it's now exceeded 1,000 subscribers, we're at 1.4. And it's climbing like 2 or 3 here and there, 2 or 3 here and there. It's really hard to get people to subscribe, man.
Well, it is, and there's somebody that I know that has a YouTube channel who she hit 600,000 subscribers.
Nice.
Now, I'll preface this by saying there's nothing that I could go to her for to talk about, because what she does and what I do they're not even equatable. However,
yeah.
What really kind of annoyed me, and I was at a show on Friday night when I saw it and she did the post. She had maybe 5 people that congratulated her, and I was like, are you kidding me? You guys should be like knocking her door down, finding out what it is she's doing. And so that's why these channels are so hard to build, because people initially will support you, then they feel that you've had too much support and get annoyed, and it's just a whole thing. The bottom line is you just got to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people come to me, like to Indie Tunes Records. It's all about what we do and how we support artists in their music, and the belief that we have in marketing the music and getting it out there in front of as many people as we can. And it's actually starting to pay off.
Right? I don't know who Restored is, but there's a good thread going here. What pisses me off is our radio stations play the same old music every day, but there's so much great music out there. I asked my radio to play an indie lunch for indie unheard bands. They said no. I always say not everybody likes Metallica. It's almost impossible to get even a label to listen to your music. And yeah, so I don't know where you are restored. Maybe you can put in the comments where you are. But out here in Halifax, we don't like one of Michelle's best friends has the number one afternoon show in Halifax, and it's a program director in Toronto that tells her what they play. She gets to provide her own content, and there's certain things that she does get to do. But I could hand her a tape of a song, and they won't even look at it.
Yeah, it's a really tough tough thing. They're located in Sudbury, Ontario. Restored.
Please send me bandtalkshawn@gmail.com. Feel free to send me. If you got a YouTube video, I actually took Spotify off my phone, so I can't download it. If you got any other link you can send me, that'd be great. That's how dedicated I am to this cause, my friend.
Well, they can always, if you're interested in what we do, you can reach out to us at IndieTunes at gmail.com. That's INDIETUNZ@gmail.com. And you can I'll put it in the chat here so that people can message us if they want. I get submissions all the time from artists. I'm actually slowing down on taking submissions because I'm getting to a saturation point.
Yep.
And being at a saturation point, I don't want my service to artists on the label to suffer. So we're actually looking for volunteers to help out. So if you're interested in helping us to help more artists, we're always interested in bringing people on. It wouldn't be a paid position at this point in time, but God knows if we move in the direction that we're going, we never can tell.
Absolutely.
Where things are going to go. My goal is to make IndieTunes Records an actual download and streaming platform exclusively for independent music. That's the long-term goal. IndieTunes Records, I want to turn IndieTunes Records into a non-for-profit organization owned and operated by artists for artists. But as a non-profit, you can still make profit. So go figure that one out.
Yeah, they're asking. I don't know. Hold it now. How do I put my email into?
You can just type it into the chat. You got access to the chat there?
I think so.
I'm typing mine in there. Oh yeah, you tape yours while I'm talking. So there's a whole lot of things that we do in terms of making. That was in your private, but I will. It's okay.
Okay, I don't know how to do it, but
I think I can copy that.
All right.
I copy the email address. Let me just take it at it. Take mine.
And I will. One of the things I'll promise you is that I will respond because I'm very OCD when it comes to that. I don't like my inbox getting all flooded up. So if you send me something, I will respond. I can't promise that I'll have any answers for you, but I can probably connect you with somebody that does.
Yeah. So here's the email for the record label. You can email us there. If you have an EPK, and I prefer to get at least high-quality MP3s. I don't like running around to Spotify and all these other places to listen to tracks. I don't have time for it, and so it's a lot easier when you just send me a couple of MP3s along with your EPK, and we give them a listen to your music. If we like what we hear, then we'll figure out how we could get you on our platform as well as to globally publish for you. So we do a number of things. We're in the process of trying to create multiple revenue streams for independent artists. Sean looks at what he can do from his end to help people out from the promotional ends of things, which drives traffic to your music, drives traffic to where your music lives. And if you're lucky enough and you belong to IndieTunes Records, your videos will live on our YouTube channel. And there's a reason for that. One of the reasons is that we want people to see IndieTunes Records as a hub for them to go to find independent music videos and independent music. Moreover, the channel is monetized, and we can earn ad revenue for our artists off the YouTube channel. So there's some opportunities that exist from a financial point of view, aside from the fractions of pennies we get from streaming services. And if we're lucky enough, people coming to our website and downloading music for $1 a track. How cheap is that?
Yeah.
$1 a track, cheaper than a cup of coffee that you're going to piss out in a half an hour,
Well,
and
it's funny.
it lasts you a lifetime, man.
You use that analogy, and it makes perfect sense until you start dealing with people. Then it's just like, what? But anyway,
Dealing with a lot of people is almost like trying to deal with musicians. Sometimes it's like herding cats.
well, um, my page for my podcast, which is on Facebook, it's Barstools and Bandtalk, Rimshots with Sean. I'm blessed because it's to a fault a very positive page. I know a lot of people that run music sites, and you can get into the weeds on, hey, here's my favorite drummer, and you get 10 people that tell you you're dumb. And we've been very fortunate that we've been able to keep it positive, and there's been some times where, and I personally have had to get people to respond for me because it's people clearly trying to pick fights. But it's a great page for positivity. We've got some great contributors there. We're over, I don't know, 15 to 20,000 people on any given day that go on and make comments. And but yeah, you're right. It is like herding cats because the one thing in this day and age that people have access to is information.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think everybody thinks they're an expert. And I don't think I'm an expert at anything. Therefore, I have access to information, but I prefer to use access to people who know stuff. And so any information that I impart to people, again, it's, I'll put this out there right now. It's not me. It's them.
Right.
And I'm asking people and I'm relaying the info. And I think people sometimes think that I'm high on the hog or whatever it is with the attitude. It's not like that at all. I just get this information. I want to share it.
Yeah, and we are really trying to save music, and like I said, for those of you that know me, have known me for a long time, know that I believe in the roots of independent music. I consider myself not necessarily a purist, but definitely supporting everything independent and trying to help independent artists to succeed, whatever their definition of success is, because not everybody equates success with money.
Well, that's a very good point. I had a conversation with a local bar here about a month ago, and my very first comment was, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And this is a group who has been in business for well over 35 years.
Right.
And they couldn't answer the question. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't know, I don't know. Because what it was they had brought some people in to try to help them, and they were trying to come up with some ideas, but they didn't really have any ideas. And any ideas they were using, they were kind of borrowing from other people. But it was like, okay, great, but you still don't know what you want to be. So it might be something that works one time, maybe two times, but the longevity factor might not be there. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's being able to be consistent and being able to figure out what the heck it is you want to be.
Yeah, so I'm going to get to some more of the subject matter tonight. I was talking about publishing music and how important that is to the life of your music. Moreover, how important it is to the ownership of your music as well. And so there's a number of things that go on with publishing, and that's another reason that people come to me to publish their music and to look after their digital content, because they know that I will painstakingly spend hours upon hours ensuring that their tracks are properly meta tagged and that they're properly encoded to ensure that not only can we prove ownership, but there's another number of things that go into that. So first of all, most people never knew what ISRCs were. In fact, they didn't realize that when they started self-publishing on services like TuneCore and CD Baby and all those places, that, oh, Brent, see, now there's some feedback. Brent, thanks, buddy. Brent said, turn your mic up. I must be whispering again.
Oh, what?
That's
Wow.
better now.
You got really loud there. Wow.
Yeah, it's because I was still on the stereo mode. Thanks, Brent. See, it takes a guy who knows sound to come on there and go, "Hey, you need to fix that."
All right, now don't start going. Okay, you need the 5K to go up, and you need.
Yeah. Don't. We're not going to get that fine tuned tonight. That's
No,
for sure.
people's eyes will just go like this and glaze over.
And glaze over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talking about publishing music, and I don't want to get too dry with this, but ISRCs, people didn't know what ISRCs stand for. They stand for International Standard Recording Codes. Now, every country that an artist lives in, turn down the kick drum.
What do you think about that, bud?
Boom.
There.
Kicker concert. There we go. Oh man. So when you think about that, a lot of people didn't know back in the day when they started doing self-publishing what ISRCs were. They didn't even realize that these services were actually auto-assigning the ISRCs to the tracks when they're publishing them.
Right.
But moreover, they didn't really understand that the ISRC is a international standard recording code assigned to your recording that identifies it as exclusively your recording.
Yep. And
it's an electronic fingerprint.
People are still missing that, because I had a conversation with an artist. I actually played on a track for him, and the track that I didn't play on that was previously released, it was getting some radio play. And I asked one of the guys who co-wrote the song, I said, so you got everything set up in SOCAN? And they didn't. So it was actually getting played with no coded track. And I was like,
yeah,
no.
Good luck collecting royalties on that.
Right, exactly.
Here's an interesting thing that we started doing, and I discovered this by happenstance, and it didn't quite start with you guys. It actually started with someone else on the label, and I don't remember right now who it was. But artists were making their own videos with their master recordings, posting them up on YouTube, and getting thousands of views on those videos, but not earning a penny off them because they never used the encoded track to put those together.
Sure, that wasn't us.
Well, it was you. You guys were part of that.
Yep.
But I think, I don't know, there was a point in time where I started asking the question. I didn't encode those tracks. You're working with me as a record label. I did not encode those tracks for you. And you're putting that track in your video. Don't put that track in your video. Send me the master. Make sure I have the master. I'll encode the master, send it back to you, and you'll use an encoded master for making your video.
So the reason why I think personally this stuff falls through the cracks, I'll speak from personal experience, is because it's not fun, right? It's not creative. It's ticky tack.
It's nerd work.
Well, it is, right? And I mean, Big Bang Theory stuff, right? It's the stuff that doesn't make me laugh, i.e. that show. But anyway, enough about that. But what I'm saying is, when we were going through it with the first release that we did with you, which was Let's Fly, and we were going back and forth, I was just like, man, oh man, I'm done with this. And I think that's why people get discouraged with it, because it's not fun. And
no, it's hard, and to make sure music is published correctly, and to make sure that the artist gets all the credit that's due to them, we have to make sure that everything that is put out in the digital world is properly encoded.
100%. 100%.
And that has come by happenstance and learning, just like you. You always say to me when I'm talking to people about the record label, I'm always be closing, right?
Yeah.
But ABL goes with that too. I always be learning. There's always something you can learn.
Well, I think that if you think you ever hit a wall with that, you're just silly. I mean, when I started working with you and I started talking with Brent about certain things, it was hilarious, some of the things that he was ripping out, that I was just like, wow, I had no idea this is the way that it worked back in the day,
Right.
and the way that it works now. And I think what happens is, because there's so much access to information, and people, they're going to believe Google over somebody that's actually doing it. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of the way that it is. And that's where people get into trouble and they get frustrated. And then, throw on top of that the fact that a lot of that back end work is, for a creative person, is just not fun. And I can tell you right now, thank God I don't do it.
Do you know Rick Snyder?
I don't believe I do.
He says hi.
Hi.
Hey, Rick, how's it going? Where are you joining us from tonight? Put that in the chat room. Let us know where you're joining us from.
Actually,
We always like to know.
I might know Rick.
He's got he looks like he looks the photograph looks almost country.
Okay.
And it looks like he's got an acoustic guitar and a cowboy hat on. And he's sitting in front of a microphone singing or standing. I'm not sure. So welcome, Rick. Yeah, let us know where you're from. We always like to know where people are from. Hey, Keith Hill, thanks for joining us tonight.
Keith boy.
Appreciate that. Thanks for joining us. Here's the interesting thing. He's from the Annapolis Valley.
Oh,
there
actually,
you go.
I do know Rick. I know exactly who he is now. Sorry, I know exactly who you are, Rick. Thank you.
Hey, Rick, we're looking for country artists, so there you go. George Wolf is joining us, by the way. We haven't even figured out a hard release date for some of his stuff yet.
Right on. George is a good friend of mine.
He's so patient with me. He's so patient with me because I'm like, I'm gonna get to you. I feel like the Buddy and Jewel of the Nile.
Well, luckily I keep George occupied by some of my posts that he gets upset about, so it's all good.
Ira, when you coming for me? Oh, we'll be back. We'll be back.
My buddy Carol Anderson is on here. Jordan Machette is on
Jordan
here.
Machette. Hey, Jordan Machette, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, all kinds
Thanks
of guys
for joining us tonight. Yeah, great to have you with us tonight. We're talking about the value of music, but the value of publishing your music properly. And there's a whole lot of stuff that people don't know about publishing music. That's the reason they come to our record label, because we make sure all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. So we're talking about ISRCs, which a lot of people did not know stood for International Standard Recording Code, and it's a unique code applied to your master recording and your MP3s. So it should be embedded in everything that you release or give to anyone. And I can't count the number of bands that sent their tracks out to radio and did not have ISRCs embedded in their tracks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I wear these glasses to make me look extra smart because I'm not. But one of the things that when you explained that to me, I figured that out very quickly, because what's going to track your music, and how SOCAN track stuff is another conversation for another show.
It's a whole there's a whole that's a whole bone of contention and a whole can of worms.
Keith says ISRCs are not recognized by SOCAN. No.
Yeah, so ISRCs are recognized by SOCAN for the collection of royalties for performance rights, but also it's really important that your ISWC is also embedded in your track, which is the International Standard Work Code, and that's something that people never did. They never embedded the International Standard Work Code in their music. And that is the published side of your music. So that is the published work itself, not the recorded track, but the actual published work. So there's 2 points of publishing. One is publishing your master recordings, and the other is publishing your written work or your music.
Keith says,
they won't let it listed on the site, but as long as you've registered your music correctly and you've gone to the right services, we can talk about that, because there are special services that your music needs to be registered to that collect royalties in all different territories, and they do that based on the ISRCs. But if the ISWC is embedded in the track, SOCAN can collect royalties off that because they can recognize the ISWC, which is registered with SOCAN. Your written work is registered with SOCAN, as it is in the US if you're with ASCAP or BMI. In fact, if you're a member of SOCAN, they will let you choose your American affiliate.
So Carl has a good point, and I got a story because it's about a friend of Carl and I. So this is what young artists miss and why they and why they, while they can do it themselves, are better to align with companies or people that have the knowledge that matters. It absolutely does. So a friend of Carl's and mine, and a former band member of mine, went on to play with a number of bands, but one of them was a band called All American Rejects. He performed on their biggest hit, which is a song called "Gives You Hell." And he did backups, and he figured, he got paid for it, and that was it. He left the band and was contacted a few years later to say, hey, get in touch with us because we have some royalties for you. And it was significant royalties, which he didn't know about, but because all his information was put in there and they found him, he was able to get some money from that. Probably the best example for me, not because of, the fact that, I was really happy that he made a lot of money because I love to see that, but it's a good example that the process does work if done properly.
Yeah, no, here's one of the things, and I want to clarify something that Keith said. He said that you can't register your ISRCs with SOCAN, and that is absolutely 100% correct. But you can register your ISWC. So your ISWC is your written work. That is how SOCAN collects royalties on plays of your music, because they recognize the ISWC that's embedded in the track. Okay? ISRCs, on the other hand, are for the purposes of collecting royalties from other sources. For example, there are music rights organizations that collect royalties on the behalf of artists, but you have to register your catalog and your repertoire with them, including your ISRC. And that is how they track where your music's being played, where it's being used, et cetera, et cetera. There are also music licensing organizations that we put artists in touch with to ensure their music is licensed for such things as Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, all those places that artists never think about having to make sure their music is licensed.
And what's cool, just quickly, I think it's Hey You Kim. Hello, wondering if you guys did music feedback review. Yes, absolutely. What's really cool is when you're using Instagram or TikTok, and I do it every day. I wouldn't call myself a TikToker or an Instagrammer by any stretch. However, if you have something that's registered and you pull it up on those platforms, it's so cool to see it come up, and you're able to use music that you're a part of. So it does work when you do it. It's very cool.
Yeah, we're actually in the process right now of doing some back office work right now, so that artists are making sure that their music is properly licensed for companies like Instagram, which is actually a part of Facebook or the metaverse, as well as Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. So those are some places that people don't realize. Sure, they will, but for no names, they aren't quite stand up. Yeah, I would agree with that. That they're not stand up for anybody. This is a comment about SOCAN, right? Sure, they will, but for no names, they aren't quite stand up, in my opinion. I had a song on a national TV show in many markets across the country. When I used their calculator, I should have seen a lot of dough. That was their excuse.
Well, so I don't know, Keith, if you got in here, but go on my Facebook page, Barstools and Bandtalk, or actually my personal one, Sean McKenna. Somebody sent me this thing today about basically, nobody cares about your music. Do it for yourself, it was like a slap in the face, and I get those a lot, and I need them a lot. And Ken's absolutely right, because they're there to. Their big role is to collect money for the majors and the major artists, right? For independent artists, it's a tougher slog. Not here to tell you that, hey, it's easy and whatever. No way. I probably get more frustrated than anybody on a daily basis, but it's not a reason to not do it just because you're getting frustrated.
No, and there are, like I said, there are royalties rights organizations that we ensure that our artist music is registered with, so that they can have those royalties rights organizations working for them, collecting royalties. And as a result of that, we've seen some artists get some royalty checks that they otherwise wouldn't have been entitled to if they had not registered their repertoires with those organizations.
Well, that's a good point, and I know a gentleman. I work with a gentleman by the name of Chris Catero, who is in the Phoenix area, and Chris is big in the sync licensing world. So he'll do everything from TV shows to video games to whatever. My suspicion there, Keith, and I don't know, Ken could maybe highlight this, but if it was on a TV show, should still be some record of that, and that's got to be sitting in some library somewhere.
Yeah. So those plays. So when plays are not recognized where they can be paid royalty, they go into a place called the black box royalties. These are unassigned royalties, largely due to the fact that the track that was played or submitted did not have full or complete metadata in it. And as a result, it sits in limbo. It can't be paid out to anybody. It's called unassigned royalties, but people call it the black box because it is like your music is sitting in this dark hole for unclaimed royalties. Now, I know artists that have done these proper registrations and have received significant amounts of royalties as a result of properly registering their music with these organizations. And they have software, they have people, they have all kinds of resources to be able to sniff out those royalties because they earn a percentage off the top for collecting those royalties.
Right.
So it's money in their pocket. You don't even see it. Here's the thing is that it's like a front end load for an investor, right? They take their slice off the top before you even see what you get. Right? But but if you didn't sign up with them, you'd never see those royalties.
Right. And I mean, the hope is probably always that nobody ever goes looking for them except for the people that want to make some money off of them.
And you're probably going to come away with about 80% of those royalties.
Yeah. Not a bad,
by the time their fee is paid. I haven't really seen any that tell you specifically what their fee is off the top, but I think it's a sliding scale fee based on the amount of the royalty itself.
Yep.
So I think if it's a greater amount, it's a smaller percentage. If it's a smaller amount, it's a greater percentage.
And Keith is saying that was 2005. I still move forward and write songs and release, which is great. And I didn't mean to insinuate that you weren't. What I was, I guess, trying to say that I didn't say as well as I could have is that it's another frustrating part of the business that, I talk to people all the time who do their own podcasts, and it's like somebody starts a podcast because they see somebody else do one and they figure, oh, that's easy, I can do it too. But you get to a point where you're not having any success and you start going, okay, is this worth it? And a lot of people drop off there. And what my point was on that is, just keep going, right? Because you're going to find like-minded people that you're going to be able to tap into that are running into the same things, but maybe have found a ways around these hurdles, and we'll be able to give you some information on how to do it.
Yeah, it is nothing. None of this is an easy road to hoe, and the creative part is often the part that's the part that's easy for the musician is the creative part, right? It's the part that they love to do, but this business side of it takes a different mindset, and also it requires a great deal of concentration, a lot of effort to ensure that that tracks are properly coded, that music is properly credited, to make sure that the music is registered appropriately with the right organization. And like I said, if you belong to SOCAN, if you're Canadian and you're registering your music with SOCAN, they'll give you your choice of your affiliate. They'll give you either BMI or ASCAP. You can't go wrong with either one. I always steer people towards BMI because they're the largest of all of the publishing organizations in the U.S., and therefore being the largest, they're more likely to be able to collect more royalties on your behalf.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing Restored says, damn, Restored needs to be signed by you. The info you're giving is priceless. Well, I'll tell you, Restored, and it's not for lack of hunting people out, because one of the things that I'll say, Ken, you will probably agree with me, is that I don't care who you are, how organized you are, how in tune you are, how much of a salesperson, how much of a, you cannot do it all. And I know this from having a podcast that we'll get upwards of 20,000 some odd people looking at it, where, if you don't get back to somebody quickly, they're off to something else.
Yep.
But you can't get back to them if you're editing it on your own. And you can't edit it on your own if you're out there hustling for interviews. So you get my point. So people do the whole, I'm going to do it on my own, and they do it because they figure if they do it, they can keep all the money. The only thing I would say is if there's something you think you can do it on your own to a higher degree, have at it. I've never met somebody that's been able to do the whole thing on their own. That's just my experience.
There's so much to do, and as of late, I've had to pick and choose priorities, and so, people will say to me, "Well, why aren't you?" They don't really ask me the question. I guess I kind of ask myself the question: why am I not doing so many radio submissions? And it's because you only have so much time in a day to do certain activities, and for me, it's about keeping the lights on. And being able to keep lights on means being able to be involved in activities that have the greatest possibility of generating some sort of revenue for the record label, because I have operating expenses to be able to maintain a website, to be able to maintain, everything that I do. And about every 5 years, I have to get a new computer because my computer's worn out because it gets used 24/7.
Yep. And that's the thing.
Right.
You should never, again, when it comes down to money, people tend to try to do stuff on their own because they don't want to give somebody, and I get it, the whole long arm in the short pocket. But if you have somebody that is willing to do work, you should never be afraid to pay them if they do it the right way and they're honest and legal, and upfront and all that good stuff. You should never be concerned about paying somebody a little bit, because the good person is getting pennies off a lot of people. They're not getting dollars off of you, if that makes sense.
That's right. So there's different ways that you can help the record label for us to expand what we're doing, to keep the lights on, to build, continue to build our website, to offer a place for artists to publish their music, plus taking care of worldwide publishing for artists. Because every time I take on more artists, I have to expand my licensing, and that costs me thousands of American dollars a year just for the licensing. To be able to release everybody's music globally, there's a cost to me to do that.
Yeah, and again, I can't say enough that there definitely is a cost. But anybody that is doing it, you want to find the busy person, because the busy person gets stuff done, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Always.
That's true.
There's a reason why they're busy. And, if you have somebody that's like, I got nothing going on. Okay, well, that sounds exciting. How can I get involved? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
every day I feel like a one-armed paper hanger.
Oh, listen, I get it. Like, I had somebody ask me today, like, when do you do your podcast? And it's like, when people are available. I've tried to limit it to a certain day, but, what do you do when you have somebody that's, an international, recording sensation that sold millions of albums, and their people come to you and say, this is the day they have.
I know how busy you are, and the fact that you give up an hour a week to help me do this show, I don't know if you know how much I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, I do, for sure. And I mean, this to me is fun, and the reason why it's fun is because I know there's some people that, again, I don't know it all. I started my podcast 4 years ago, so April 28th, 2020, we started it, and I sit there sometimes and I go, man, it's taking forever, but I'm also really bad at figuring out all the good stuff that's happened. And I've been able to make a network that I can draw from, but I've also made mistakes that I can tell people to help them. And so that's why I do it.
That's right. I've got some people asking, if I'm interested in their stuff. I'm always interested in submissions. You can submit your music, videos, anything you want to indietunz@gmail.com. That's INDIETUNZ@gmail.com. I put that in the chat for you folks. Sean's is in there earlier. You'll be able to see it there in the chat if you're interested in sending something his direction. We're at the top of the hour here, and I think we've just barely cracked the ice on this one.
Always.
I think we're going to talk more about it next week, because we started getting into the ISRCs this week. ISWCs we really didn't cover to a great extent, and then all the things that are involved in publishing, which is a massive undertaking that no one appreciates it until they've done it themselves, and then they think they've done it, but they really haven't. They've just scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I I love it when people can say, hey, we've done some stuff, and and this isn't to be a jerk, but I've yet to really find somebody that comes back and says they've got it all going on, where they haven't missed certain pieces of the puzzle. And I'm just as guilty. I'm not sitting here telling you I'm an expert, because I'm not. Far from it. Not even close. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there is so much that people can learn from what we're offering here, but at the same point in time, as like Sean said, you can't do it all yourself, and there comes a point where it's better right off the hop that you trust somebody else and work with somebody else. Talk to people on the record label, ask them why they work with me, ask them why we do what we do, and how we support artists to our greatest ability. We don't ask for anything up front from artists, although that model may change down the road, because we're also looking at the idea of, everybody needs to have some skin in the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And what does that mean? Well, that might just mean, a small annual fee to cover the costs of publishing everyone's artist music. And now, if you were publishing yourself, you'd be paying so much anyway to do that.
Yeah, and quickly, I want to say hi to my good buddy Dean Boharnish.
There he is. Great show. You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dean Bo, for joining.
Dean Bo, he's finding old Michelle Ryder and Side Hustle videos from 2 and 3 years ago that he's been posting. So they've been great. I'll liken it to this, and it's something you and I talked about before we went on. And it's the in downtown Halifax, we have a Quebec Major Junior team. If anybody's been to Halifax, you're going to pay $12 to $15 to park for the game. You're going to spend probably $20 per ticket to get in. You might drop $50 to go eat before the game. You're going to probably spend another $50, maybe, on beer and chips and whatever. So a night out might cost you $100. Yet somebody will question paying a cover charge to go see a band. And it's no different than this, really. Right?
Yep. It really is no different than this. Listen, it's been a slice having you on the show again, Sean, as usual.
Yeah, man.
You can catch the Indie Show here every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 9 p.m. Atlantic, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Check us out at IndieTunesRecords.com or IndieTunes.com, and check out Sean's podcast, Barstools and Bandtalk, Rimshots with Sean. You can catch that on YouTube. Join his page on Facebook to find out what's going on. Follow us on Instagram. And get involved. Join us. Join the forces of good.
Showing up is half the battle.
That's right. Peace out, everybody. Remember, I am Kenny. You